Welcome, everyone. If you want to use the chat feature in Zoom, hopefully you've all figured it out by now. At the bottom of your screen, there's a little chat bubble. You can tell us where you're coming in from, where you are, and what business you're in. It's always really interesting to see that. We'll get started in just a moment or two. Welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us. Nobody wants to tell me who they are. Come on, guys. Noah is not going to be an empty seat. He's just at his printer. He'll be back in a minute. All right, about one more minute and we'll get started right on time. I do appreciate all of you coming. Hi, Mindy from Berkshire Camino Hostels from Berkshire County. Yay! Thank you for coming. Hi, Donna from Bristol, Rhode Island. We have Office Interiors from Pittsfield. We have Lawrence, Massachusetts, Moderno Appliance and Furniture. Hello, Suzanne. Thank you for coming. Kevin from Lynn. Amanda from Action Sports and Travel. We appreciate all of your coming. And we will be recording this webinar. So if you need to jump off, you can be assured that you'll be able to retrieve the recording later on. Hi, Meg from Lowell. Thank you for joining us today. All right, Casey, what do you think? It's 11. Should we get started or wait another minute or two?
I think we could probably get started.
Okay, I'm going to introduce myself, and then I'm going to introduce all of our guests. My name is Deborah Gallant. I am the Executive Director of EforAll Berkshire County. I think most of the people on the call probably know what EforAll is, but let me just debrief you in case you don't know. Entrepreneurship for All is a nonprofit organization that partners with communities nationwide, there's a blurb I'm reading, to help under-resourced individuals successfully start and grow a business through intensive business training, mentorship, and extended professional support network. We're in Berkshire County, Cape Cod, Fall River, New Bedford, Holyoke, Lawrence, Lynn, and Roxbury, Massachusetts, and now we're also in Longmont, Colorado. So, you're seeing me, Deborah Gallant. I'm the Executive Director. My program manager for this program in Berkshire County is Casey O'Donnell. And Casey is a light bulb on your screen, but he's also managing this for us. Casey, I'm going to ask at the moment that you deploy poll number 1 while I introduce our panelists, and then people can be answering questions while they introduce themselves. So Dan, can you go first and give us about 30 seconds about who you are?
I can, Deborah, sure. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dan Shea. My consultancy is Park and Forbes, and I focus on helping owners of small to medium-sized businesses and handling sales and sales management related issues. I am affiliated with EforAll South Coast, work with Donna Prasulo and her great team down there. Oftentimes, business owners are very good at making the product they sell. They're very good at providing the service they sell, but they don't really know how to sell it. And they certainly aren't familiar with managing others to sell it. And that is where I can typically come in from my professional background.
Dan, can you just give us an idea of what kind of businesses you work with now?
Sure. Currently, small one-man operations all the way up to emerging mid-market companies that may have a payroll of 150 people. They may be service providers, B2C, all the way over to military contract B2B type companies. So a very wide range. Interestingly, the sales principles and sales management principles are very much the same and transferable across that broad range of business types and business sizes, and really focusing on the fundamentals, which is what comes to bear when working with EforAll.
Terrific. Thank you for sharing that. Noah Cook-Dubin is our other panelist for today. And Noah and I know each other because Noah grew up here in the Berkshires and recently moved back here with his lovely wife, Kika. And they are going to let you introduce yourself, but he's one of our Berkshire County mentors and supporters. And welcome, Noah. Tell us a little bit about your professional background.
Hi, everyone. As Deborah said, my name is Noah Cook-Dubin. I'm one of the mentors here with EforAll in Pittsfield in the Berkshires. I am the co-founder, along with my lovely wife, of the Kanoa Strategic Digital Marketing Consultancy. The two of us moved back to the US, to the Berkshires this past year from Brazil, where we were both working at Google. And so we decided to move our family to the country, started our consultancy to bring what we had learned working with the big brands of the world, you know, the Nikes and Procter and Gamble's of the world, and bring that to the local businesses here in the Berkshires and beyond. So thanks for having me.
That's terrific. Thank you, Noah. I'm going to close the poll, but let me just share the results, which is about half of the businesses on this call are still open. About 30% are not open, and my answer in the middle, kind of sort of something else, about 20% are there. So I actually think that's kind of encouraging, because today's webinar is really about sales and marketing and continuing your business, having some continuity in it. I'm going to back up just a little bit and give you some context here. EforAll has accelerators and pitch contests, but we really feel strongly at EforAll that to support entrepreneurs during this COVID pandemic and crisis, and there's no rule book. No one really knows what to do, and everyone's out there offering advice. So we're trying really hard to focus on how we can help with subject matter and intelligence and the specialists and the terrific resource network we have at EforAll, and bring that to you every week. So we're gonna get started in just a moment. I see my colleague Kelly from Colorado has joined us. She's gonna just give us a moment of centering and all of us being present before we dive into our subject matter. So welcome, Kelly, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Deborah. And I apologize. I had trouble with the link last night with one of my other meetings, and now maybe Zoom's becoming a little overwhelmed. Thank you all for the patience. Good morning to everyone. I'm saying hello from Colorado, and very grateful to be here. These are important times to come into our personal space, our internal space, and be able to kind of ground as we move through these interesting times. I'd like to have everyone take just a moment to get comfortable in their chair and close their eyes. Feel as you begin to just take a regular breath in, how the fresh air comes in and just moves through your body to give you the energy that you take so for granted as you just breathe normally. Deepen the breath a little bit more. And a bit of a deeper exhale as well is to follow. Feel as you can sense your body starting to just settle in a little bit more. Perhaps your mind can find a quieter space. And notice the space between the breath, between the inhale and the exhale. There's a small space. That's a place where you can be sure that you're steady and grounded, and you have a place for your peace as you let all the other thoughts just move through. Take a big inhale. Maybe your shoulders go up and then relax them down. A big exhale, letting it all just naturally flow out. Release the tension that might be accumulating in your brow or your face in any way in this kind of perhaps unfamiliar place of taking a moment. One more deep breath in. And another one out as it naturally just flows. And then open your eyes. And come back. And now the rest of your day can always go back to that little space in between the breaths if you ever feel a bit of stress. Thank you so much for having me, Deborah.
Thank you, Kelly, for starting this webinar off this way. I think being present is so important. So let me just tell you guys what the format's going to be. This is not going to be a PowerPoint presentation. This is going to be a dialogue between me and these two amazing fellows who cleared their schedules to be with us today. And we're going to talk about sales and marketing because, yeah, there's a government bailout coming, and I know there's a lot of talk about that. And tomorrow I'm doing a webinar on that. Today, I really want to talk, especially since half of you are still open for business, about how do you handle sales and marketing to keep some continuity when the rules have changed. Everyone's sitting at home. So we have some content that we've already developed, but we are delighted to take your questions and answers. We have a couple of polls built into this, and you can always type into the chat box where either we'll read it or Casey will read it and share that with us. But I'm going to actually ask Casey to send off the second poll now, which is, are you actually marketing right now? So we'll get the results of that, but I'm going to start with Dan. What are you seeing out there? Are people still doing marketing?
People are still doing marketing, Deborah, certainly. I think the mission is to stay in touch with your customer base, your distributor base, and potential customers that you may have in your system. At the very least, just to maintain a contact with them. It may be light touch, it may be specifically more focused, but that staying in contact helps a lot. Whether it's something in the immediate term that can be worked on, or continuing to keep things turning for the time where the economy will pick back up again. Things will turn back on again. We'll pop out the other end of this, if you will. And when that time comes, having everything turning and that dialogue maintained will be very important.
And it seems to me that there's some momentum that will be completely lost if you just stop right now. Noah, are you seeing anything different or have any comments to add about that?
Oh, I absolutely agree with Dan. I think that there's definitely still an opportunity to keep marketing, to keep selling. Where I've seen in our work with some of our clients is as long as you're able to keep your supply chain going, if you have a physical good, right? As long as you're able to deliver the goods or service that your business provides, there are still opportunities to continue selling. And I've seen a lot of brands that are continuing to market and continuing to do well at it.
I'm going to just end the polling and share the results, which is what I expected. Yes, we're still marketing 33%. No, we're not marketing 11%, and kind of, sorta, which is where I think most people are, is the majority, which is 56%. So I think that was kind of what we had in mind that would be. One of the things that I've noticed is that there's a deluge of people sending you messages that feel really tone deaf, that feel like they haven't really thought through what the impact is on the other end. And I think this is the time when we talked about this, about really understanding your customers and what they're going through and how you can provide it. Do you want to take that, Noah?
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that we can get closer to our customers, this is always a good thing to do. You want to understand why your customers buy from you, why they come to you, and how you can provide them better service or a better product. So I think this is an especially good time to focus in on that, right? I mean, we know that there are some customers that are no longer going to be purchasing from us, right? So it makes all the sense in the world to get as close as possible as you can to the customers that you have. I think, as Dan had mentioned, maintaining that communication with your existing customers is so important, but being smart about how you do it. You know, Deborah mentioned how she's been getting tons of emails from different businesses about, you know, that just seems sort of tone deaf as to what she as a customer is going through, what she as a person is going through. You know, I as a consumer am not particularly concerned about your COVID-19 update as a company. What I want to know is, how are you helping me? What are you offering to me? And so as a business owner, I'm thinking, how do I talk to my customers and find out what they need from me right now? How do I figure that out?
Well, I think this is a fundamental of marketing, and certainly our EforAll alums know this, is that it's not about you. It's about the customer. And if you can keep that in mind, I told Noah a story yesterday when we were getting ready. I got the bill from my snowplow company for the winter, and they had actually handwritten on the bill, if it's difficult for you to pay this all at once, we're okay with installments. And it was the kind of real sensitivity to the understanding that my household might have a cash flow problem right now. That is the kind of thing that buys you loyalty, I really think, forever. And then on the other hand, I get emails from travel companies telling me to book a cruise. And I'm like, do you people understand? I'm not, first of all, I was never a cruise customer, but right now I am not booking a cruise. Dan, what are you seeing with your customers and your clients, and how they're talking to their consumers right now?
All of the same, echoing what you and Noah have already said, Deborah. It's not about the sender of the message, it's about who's receiving the message. And the people receiving that message may be in no frame of mind to buy what you're selling right now for very understandable reasons. But you still want to maintain a brand, you still want to maintain communication. So message in terms that are meaningful to the people you're messaging to. And even if it's something that doesn't even relate to your product, it's just, hey, just checking in. I know these are trying times. If there's anything I can do to help, if there's anything I can do to refer you, please let me know. Something along those lines can be very, very meaningful, truly helpful to the person getting the message. And relative to sustaining your brand, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
I heard somebody on another call ask the question of, I do want to stay in touch with my customers. So I've been making personal phone calls to the biggest ones, which I think is a great way. People are available. The one thing you can say is they'll actually pick the phone up now, or they'll talk to you, or they'll set up a Zoom meeting. People are more available, but they're worried that if they call them, they risk cancellation or people saying, I can't buy from you now. But it seems to me that still making that personal connection is worth the risk it might be, because if they're going to cancel, they're going to cancel anyway, right?
From my perspective, yes. I would suggest email is a good way to go. It's a little less intrusive. It's something that the recipient can open on their time schedule, on their terms. A direct phone call would be to someone who you already have a well-established relationship with, such that they'd understand you're not necessarily even calling to sell. Maybe you're already selling them, or you at least have enough of a rapport that it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for you to call. But an electronic outreach and what is put in that subject header can make a big difference as well. More Noah's bailiwick from the marketing side that it would be mine in sales, but a subject like just checking in to be sure our friends are okay, or something like that, where someone might be more apt to open that, not feeling like they're going to get hit with the full court press on buy our product. That's not what the message is all about at all. It's truly just an outreach to see if everyone's okay, let you know we're thinking of you, full stop. Nothing more needs to be said.
Noah, why don't you take that?
Yeah, I mean, I think every business is obviously different, right? Like looking in the chat, I see we've got a people photographer, we have someone from action sports and travel, hey Pittsfield, right? We've got a wide array of different types of businesses that work with EforAll. And so for each business, it'll be a little different. But the way I've thought of it is, what can I give away right now? As a business owner, what can I give away? So that has anything to do with what I do. So I'm a marketing consultant. I've been finding things for my existing clients, even existing clients who have said, I need to pause our engagement. I can't pay you right now. And I've been sending them proactively things about, hey, did you see that Google is offering grants for small businesses to run ads for free? Or, hey, have you seen that actually other customers, other companies in your segment have had some success in this moment doing this, that, and the other thing, right? So I am proactively just saying, hey, this is what I think I can provide to you right now. So, you know, if you're in an action sports and travel area, hey, nobody's traveling right now. How can I get some of that in my life right now. If I'm an existing customer of yours, how can I get some of the action sports feeling that I love without being able to leave the area where I live? Maybe there you can recommend places for people to go outside. If you have office interiors, how do you set up a home office in your home? That's going to be really useful for your customers over these coming months. So finding these little bits of value that you can give, the money will come back. Maybe it'll be in 6 weeks, maybe it'll be in 6 months, but you still have something of value to give to your customers.
That's great. I want to actually go to another point that you had brought up about giving back to the community. And I think that some of that is what you're talking about with giving back to your clients, but like, how are you giving back to Pittsfield? I mean, how can you find that authentic way to be of value without it feeling like you're being pushy and just trying to make sure you get sales later?
Yeah, that's such a subjective subjective thing. I mean, I think I would err right now on the side of caution. And if you feel an alarm bell going off saying, will this be perceived as being opportunistic? I might not do it right now. I might not send that email or make that move. I have a client or a potential client who I felt could really be growing right now. And I want to send the guy 3 emails a day to be like, hey, let's work together. I just haven't. Right? I think when you're thinking about how you can help locally, you know, it's the same attitude of how you can help your customers, how you can help your community. You know, there are restaurants that are donating food, right? They're in their hardest time right now, and they're finding a way to send food donations. So, you know, that's obviously a helpful thing, and I don't think anyone can misperceive that. Right.
But I mean, if I, as EforAll, okay, said, I want to buy lunch for all of the nurses today at Berkshire Medical Center, and I'm going to pay autos, and then I'm going to boast about it online, doesn't that seem really self-serving?
I mean, it's the devil's in the details, the devil's in the wording. You know, I boast a lot more than my mom. So I always think, what would my mom say about this? My mom would not post anything. But I do think that there's something to be said for inspiring others through your action. If you as EforAll are doing this, inspire others through it. You know, if you look at the larger brands, larger companies out there, I'm not saying that this is necessarily how a small business wants to model themselves, but you see, you know, Serta has not been shy about letting us know about the 10,000 mattresses that they've donated for COVID-19 patients in New York. KFC has not been shy about the 1 million pieces of chicken they've shipped out to their franchisees to be able to serve people who are working in the COVID relief effort. So, you know, I don't see a problem in saying, hey, we're here, we're still open for business, let's do our part together. It's a we message.
What are you saying, Dan?
I agree with Noah in that it's all in how it's done. I think there is great setting an example that others can follow that can be inspirational when people are doing things on a volunteer basis in time of crisis. I think if it's something that is out of character for that company, I know Serta voluntarily donating mattresses, GM building vents, that's all in keeping with who they are. It's all in keeping with their brand. I think if you're suddenly doing something that is very off-brand as a business and you're throwing that out there, you may run the chance of looking a little more calculating, a little more self-serving. In keeping with someone's brand, if someone has a business where they provide back office services, they could message out saying, hey, very trying times, people are uncertain, people are confused. If there's anything I can lend a hand with, please sincerely message back to me. No charge. I'm happy to offer free advice. I'm happy to point you in the right direction. That would be a very heartfelt delivery of a volunteer service to others who are within the immediate market that person lives in anyway, with something that they are defined as doing anyway. I think that would be a much more sincere look, less a chance of someone seeing it as a calculated stand out to garner future attention.
Yeah, well, and not everyone's in a position to give away mattresses or fried chicken or
There is
buy
that.
lunch for the nurses. Well, and I mean, we're trying to be realistic here. We have some micro enterprises, people who really are running lean and mean to start with, and don't really have the resources to do that, and also to be authentic. So, you know, if you're a barber and you're completely sidelined now, you literally can't get close enough to someone to cut their hair. You're going, okay, how do I even stay in someone's consciousness?
And they might say, you know, in these trying times, people are delving into home haircuts. So if you're going to go that risk, let me know. I'll get online and I can manually talk you through it free of charge, so that the end result isn't as disastrous. That would be something very sincere, very genuine. And anyone who has tried to administer a home haircut lately, very appreciated as well. So as that example, Deborah, for the small business owner, the barber, no, it's not going to close a sale. No, it's not going to help with immediate cash flow. But truly, if someone is home and wants to give someone else a haircut, have your buddy down the street, the barber, on the line to kind of talk you through it and coach you through it, pull you back from the edge when you've got the clippers on a setting of 2 instead of 4. Little things like that. It's very sincere and will be a huge build for that individual business owner's brand. But I guess from my perspective, be sincere. Do what feels right, do what feels normal, do what feels in keeping with who you are and what your normal business value proposition is. And don't try to sell. Get that out of your head. You're trying to help. Truly trying to help.
I think you bring up a really great point, and it's one that we had talked about discussing, is the languaging and the sensitivity about what's going on. So as I said, I think some of my emails have come from lists where people, you know, they preset it up years ago or months ago, and it just keeps sending the cruise stuff. I mean, like, really? I mean, no one's getting on a cruise right now. But there's other people who are, you know, I think that some of it's really unpleasant and they missed the boat. Noah, what are you telling people about how to language in this?
Again, you have to be sensitive. I think you brought up something that is really important in here, which is you need to adapt your plans also, right? So if you have a whole slate of communication for your business that you've planned out for this spring, you know, you're just rushing ahead with it, just pushing through, and you're like, this is my plan. This is how I'm advertising my business. This is how I'm talking with the world this spring. That's probably not going to go super well for you. So, you know, again, there's with the messaging, the tone is really important, and the authenticity, like Dan said, that's just so important. I think even if you cannot actually give a service to your customers, you can still talk with them. There is still a way to do that, right? So, you know, use the barber example. Let's say you don't want to give people, you don't want to be so available to give home haircutting help to someone. You can still be expressing what you're going through as a barber in times of COVID, and just being very upfront and open and honest about what your experience is right now. And I think that provides a bump for your brand. That brings people in more closely. It just all needs to be very authentic. Which, since we're all at home, and you know, probably anything that we're putting out in the world with communication is being recorded on our cell phone, like, I think it'll feel pretty authentic. So.
Casey, I'm going to ask you to let rip the next poll, which is about digital marketing, because I saw in the chat we did have a question. One of the issues that I think a lot of EforAll businesses have is that they hadn't used digital marketing before. And now that they've lost the ability to see people in person, to have their storefront and their store windows attract people, digital marketing is more important than ever. So I'm trying to sort of get a gauge from the people who are on this call. Are you doing digital marketing for your business? I may not have given you enough choices, but yeah, we did it before and we're doing it more than ever. We sort of did it before, but we're doing it more actively now. We're not really doing it. And then there's the others, the other people. You can tell me who you are. But I think this brings up the question of, if you didn't have an email marketing list before, and now you're starting to want to do email marketing, it's a hard time to figure out how to start that, because you're not seeing your customers. So how do you gather their email addresses to create a list to get them in MailChimp or Constant Contact? It's kind of, did they miss that boat? I don't know. All right, so if you can, there's about 30 of you on the call. Can you vote so we can know what's going on out in our audience? And if you're one of the others, and you can type it in the chat box to tell us what that means, that would be really great. All right, I'm going to close the poll. It looks like all the voters have voted. So 40% were already doing digital marketing, doing it more than ever. We sort of did it before, but we're more active. A full quarter, 27% not doing online marketing. And I'll share the results. So I guess you guys are all seeing that now. And in my chat box, hopefully someone's going to tell me what their other is, which is, I don't know. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to ask Daniel's question. If you don't have a strong email list, what's your recommended form of outreach and communication?
So I'll jump in since I'm the digital marketing guy here. So social media is, it's a great thing to use in this moment. People are on there for more time each day because everyone is stuck at home. So that helps. It's also something that you can use for free, right? So if you have any sort of presence already, it's something that you can make use of without having an email list already. So that's a good place to start. What you do with social media, what you do with any type of digital media is what's important, right? So just having a Facebook page and posting like, hey, we're still open for business, that's not doing it. That's not really marketing yourself. You need to have more consistency and more of a message in that. And I would definitely start with social media because you can do it for free.
But what should my message be? I'm a barber and I'm closed and I have a Facebook page. What next? I mean, I don't know should I do a video diary of, virus pandemic day 19? It just feels like and there's so many people doing stuff out there. How do I break through the noise and be worth paying attention to?
This is the billion-dollar question, right? All of the small and large and medium-sized businesses across the world are trying to figure this out right now, and all competing for our apparently never-ending attention in this moment, right? Everyone understands that people are stuck at home, and we're getting bombarded with advertising messages. So it is really hard to break through. And I don't think that your COVID Day 22 diary is necessarily the answer to that. What I do see is that, especially in the case of small and local businesses, there is a great will of people to support the businesses they care about, right? So I talked with Deborah about an initiative here in Pittsfield where there's a site that's been set up by Downtown Pittsfield, which is a local business organization that has gift cards from all sorts of local Pittsfield businesses. People are talking about that. People are sharing that link because they want to help, right? So you as a business owner, just saying, I'm still here, I need help in this way, hey, I can provide this service though, people will pay attention to that. I think that it's totally fair to have a clearly business-focused message in your social media feed right now. That's totally fair and people want to support. In addition, there is a lot of stuff that falls into the realm of content marketing, which is giving away my expertise, creating videos or or text, some sort of content that I think will inspire or inform people. This requires a lot more work and a lot more thought and creativity, but there's an absolute opportunity for it. Dan's example of the barber is a good one. That barber could make fun videos about like the pitfalls of home haircutting, right? Just doing a video, making a joke out of what his customers are probably going through right now, that will give his brand a little boost. That'll make people remember him when this is all done. So there are ways to simply tell a little of who you are and what you're going through. And I think that's valid on social media.
So I want to just throw something in here because I've seen this as, for me and for the other people, I actually have 3 other people working out of my house, is that we all feel really scattered and like we're all suffering from ADHD and things are pulling us in a bunch of different directions. And some of what we're doing is very knee jerk, like, oh, I saw this, let me post about that or whatever. But I think what you're talking about requires a different mindset. It's almost like close the computer, go for a walk outside and focus on coming up with a strategy, and then the actions that you take are built from that strategy and that point of view. So everything isn't just knee-jerk reacting, it has a point of view and it moves your bigger strategy and goals for your business forward. Is that a fair thing to say?
Absolutely.
Dan, do you want to add anything?
That absolutely spot on, Deborah. I suffer from that scattered characteristic before COVID ever hit. But to the entrepreneurs on the line, yes, try to shut off everything else and think about, again, what would be meaningful to the people you're trying to reach? What means something to them that is in keeping with your brand? And you know, we keep using the barber as an example. It could be instructional. It could be, hey guys, let's share stories about funniest haircutting disasters. Or as a barber, here's what's gone wrong in my shop. None of it that you experience at home will come even close. I hope this makes you feel better. Just things like that to help people. Maybe an entrepreneur who bakes cupcakes as their business, something on cupcake decorating, something on how to help a kitchen with a few small children make cupcakes, cupcake decorating disasters from a humorous point of view, just to bring some brevity and pull people in. And I think those things married to a social media platform. Of course, social media is so broad, whereas our entrepreneurs can be much more geographically focused, but it's all additional traffic that ultimately just leads to more good, if not near term, then down the road. And it's still all in keeping with their brand. So from a long-term business perspective, it's all a continued build out of their marketing campaign, while at the same time being really a little brevity or helpful or a bright spot in what can otherwise be a challenging day for their prospective customers.
I also want to remind people that because there's no rule book for this, it's an opportunity as well. There's room to be creative. So we were on a call with our EforAll compatriots the other day, and I think that while I love this 1 hour webinar and it gives us a chance to really get in depth, you can note there's no PowerPoint slides. I think that people sitting and looking at PowerPoint slides and hitting go, go, go and having a disembodied voice isn't a modality that people really can dig right now. They like to see faces. But I think there's also a place for maybe a flash event. And I came up with the idea of like Jerry Seinfeld show, comedians in cars getting coffee. Like, wouldn't it be great to have just somebody sitting and talking, call it a fireside chat? I want to do a flash event the other day on, should I pay my rent? It's April 1st. Should I pay my rent? Yes or no? Somebody give me advice on this. So the modality could be something in writing, could be a white paper, could be an opinion piece, could be a blog, could be a video short or long. There's no limits, there's no rules, and no one really knows how all of this is going to get accepted until you try something. So I love the show me your worst haircut contest. I mean, there's a promotion you could do, right? You could do all kinds of things to make it interesting. Suzanne Carey Fernandez keeps typing to us. Casey, can you find her on our list and unmute her and let her tell us what she's doing? Because it sounds like you have a lot to contribute here. Suzanne, are you with us? Casey, can you find her in our list? I love your chat comments. I thought maybe if you don't mind being unmuted, just hit your microphone. There she is. Hi, Suzanne.
How are you?
Good. Tell us your business.
My husband and I have a small appliance and furniture business in Lawrence, and we just survived we connected with EforAll because of the whole gas crisis. So we did learn from them a lot of how to create content for Instagram and things. I'm listening to all your tips, and I appreciate that because we were just really concerned. We don't want to bombard our customers with stay home, stay safe, just alerts, because we get too many of them already. But we're hesitant what kind of content. So the offering, we can offer them, just putting it together as you're giving us tips. We can put out on, Facebook Live, we'd say, hey, are you properly, a lot of people are concerned about refrigeration. We would love to sell them freezers right now. We have none. We cannot get them until May or June. So we can't actually help them with a useful product, but we can say, hey, are you overstocking it? Are you letting the air flow? My husband he's a certified tech. So just from your tips right now, I'm saying maybe we can do something like that and be useful to people, even though we can't. We're concerned because my mother is 91 and we don't want him going in doing service right now to bring anything home. So the storefront's closed down and we're not doing active service. So I appreciate the tips that you've given, and we try to have a positive, helpful message anyway, but just trying to, instead of bombarding with coupons, I just posted that question of, should we offer a coupon for a future purchase at this point, or just would you recommend just keeping it at, hey, tips for this, keep aware of that, stay safe, stay happy. What would you recommend?
What do you guys think about promotions, coupons? Thank you, Suzanne, for sharing.
Yeah. I think promotions are, personally, from a marketing standpoint, and Dan will have an informed input on the sales impact of that. But I feel like this is a fine time to offer promotions and to do so with complete transparency of, we're going through a hard time. Like, here's a great promotion for you. We'll offer you a great price 6 months down the line or 3 months down the line, whatever it may be.
I agree, Noah. I think promotions can be very helpful, and again, full transparency. Just weighing now versus a little bit further down the road, particularly where the shop is closed, it might be difficult for people to actually utilize that coupon. It might be more meaningful from an opportunity cost perspective to launch the coupon closer to when your shop is opening up and people can act on it right away. That's the only thing that I have in my mind, not really knowing the details of the business in question at all, but just hearing that the storefront is closed and certainly people can't take advantage of that coupon necessarily, unless the store owner is selling via the internet. I don't know if there's a digital storefront running or not.
And Suzanne, when you mentioned that, or should we be posting tips like, here's how to get the air circulating better in your freezer? Like, yes, I just bought a chest freezer like a month ago, right before all this hit, and shoved a bunch of stuff in there. And I would love to know how to do a better job of using that. And I would love to make that relationship with a local business. So I think that that's a great approach.
I completely agree.
One of our participants says, as a consumer stuck at home, I'm looking for ways to spruce up my home. Perhaps you can post style inspiration to keep customers engaged. That's a great idea. The other one I had was, how about office hours about refrigeration? I mean, like, can I call in and ask my questions? We all have access to this technology, and I bet people do have questions about, is my refrigerator dying or not? You could establish yourself as a thought leader in issues about refrigeration and freezing. I know that seems random, but if I can't call you and get that answer now, or I can't order my new freezer, how do I keep my old one alive? You could offer tips about stuff like that too. So that's an interesting angle on it. I want to ask this question of Dan. Is it realistic to think for guys who are still open, and trying to think, half of the people on this call are still open. EforAll is still open. Is it realistic to think we can get new people now, or is it just too hard to break through the noise and it's almost an impossibility? Or should we still be doing outreach to find new entrepreneurs for EforAll, or Noah to find new consulting clients?
I would definitely continue the outreach for new entrepreneurs for EforAll, again, with the mindset that the situation we're in now is temporary, folks. It is going to improve. We'll go through a little bit more bad, and then we will gradually emerge with whatever the economy is going forward. And organizations like EforAll, there is a fantastic need out there that EforAll is meeting. So absolutely, all systems go. with all of that said, creativity required to keep things running, as evidenced by this very broadcast, which is akin to what all businesses from the General Motors Corporation on down are doing. Nobody really knows the answer. Nobody has a script, but everyone moves forward with the understanding that it is temporary, first and foremost, and that along the way, some creativity is going to be required.
I want to say that next week's webinar is about pivoting. It literally is. I have Eric Ashman, who's from Bothered Mind Advisors. I love the name. He's a Roxbury specialist and board member. And we're going to be talking about, is this the time to pivot your business? And he has some amazing examples of how different organizations that had to suffer through difficult times or opened during difficult times were able to do that and find their way during a crisis. So I hope people will make an appointment and join us for that. But I think there's also a nugget of what you said that I really want to dig into a little bit more. So if I'm sitting here and for those who are watching this on a recording, it's April 1st. So we have just found out that the world is pretty much closed until April 30th and possibly longer, right? That's what we've been told. Mm-hmm. Is how do you spend this time in a valuable way to plan for, so that when May 4th or whatever the date is that the world opens up again, how can you be ready for it? Dan, you want to take that one?
Thank you. Sure. I think from the marketing standpoint, those who are doing marketing and social branding continue with all of that. Again, creative in the messaging, changing the messaging a bit. All the details that we've talked about previously. For those who are not, get started. Start delving into the world of social marketing, social branding, and start building that base. It can be done with relative ease at a low cost with a laptop. And with time on one's hands, it's an investment in your future business, whatever come what may, however come what may. Certainly be doing those things. Pivoting a business is what I would categorize as being creative, and a wonderful topic. Very meaningful. There are amazing examples of big name companies that completely reinvented themselves out of necessity and did so very successfully. That wouldn't apply to all businesses. Some businesses do a little bit of a pivot. They do a pivot for 2 weeks and pivot back. You know, all of the nuances and details that come into the word pivoting, but that is part of the creativity that I talk about. And depending on what type of business is being considered, pivoting is required.
Noah, you want to take that one?
I think that, yeah, a lot of our conversation till now, well, I'm rewinding a little bit, and about 3 different gears are kind of locking in my head right now.
Only 3?
That's as many as I have left right now. I've had, 2 kids in the house for the last few weeks. So what I've been hearing a lot of in this call, we've been talking about how, okay, we're weathering the storm. We're trying to stay in touch with our clients, maintain these relationships and be there when we come back. I think I'm really glad that we're talking about pivoting a little bit right now and looking at the opportunity side of this. And let's separate a moment the word opportunistic from opportunity. There's a way to spot an opportunity and run towards it that is, that does not have any sort of a negative connotation like the word opportunistic might, right? So the businesses that are looking for those opportunities are the ones that are going to do well right now. There are even restaurants that are selling more than usual because they have really nailed the social media and takeout opportunity. I post my menu on social media. I encourage people to share it. I open my phone line at the same time every day. I post the menu at the same time every day, right? And they have managed to change a restaurant and bar business into a takeout business where, their phone line is busy for the first 20 minutes after they open it up every night. I've been trying to order food from them and it's hard.
Which restaurant? I'll call before you.
District. Just
Okay.
Don't order the fried chicken before me. So, I think it's really important that we not get discouraged. You know, half of the people on this call, your businesses are still open. It's 33% are still using digital marketing more than ever even. So this to me says, okay, we're open for business, we can deliver. So let's be clever about getting after this opportunity and seeing that it truly is an opportunity for a lot of businesses.
Did you have any other gears you wanted to refer to before I take it away from you?
Have I been talking too much?
No, you said you had 3 gears. I just wanted to make sure I got them all.
They just sort of locked in there. No, I know that as an entrepreneur myself, as someone who has his own business, something that I've been really struggling with over the last month or so is keeping myself optimistic and keeping myself looking for the opportunities and not just accepting the very easy to accept pause, like complete pause. You know, I have a client who put his business in a medically induced coma like the first day that schools were closed. He's like, I'm out. And that was my instinct too. But over the last weeks, I've been working really hard at looking for the opportunities, trying to be creative about how I get them, and, you know, kind of managing myself and saying, okay, let's stop trying to triage this, because I've done as much triage as I can. I've responded to as many emails as I can. I've talked to as many of my customers as I can in the short term. Now what am I going to do? What's my plan? And, you know, I think we need to be optimistic about it and to start walking towards something that's in our future.
And I want to say that one of the reasons I think these webinars, and also we're doing check-ins with our cohort, and there are lots of opportunities to connect with people, is that it can be very isolating if you're running a small business and you are not with other people. So find whatever ways you can to connect, find cheerleaders. If you have a mastermind group, great. If you don't, maybe now's the time to find one and check in once or twice a week, even every day. But having that accountability and that routine of other people, I think, can make a big difference. Casey, there are a few people in our who just chatted who I would really prefer to unmute and have them tell us what they're doing in this pivoting and getting creative. If you can manage to do that. We have about 8 or 9 minutes left, and I do want to leave a little time for Q&A, but it looks like a couple of people are actually getting creative, just like we're saying, and I'd love for them to share what it is that they're doing and hear their voices. So is that possible, Casey?
Yes, I'm going to be unmuting Karen. She had a question or something about her product here.
So Karen Kearsley, you are live. If you want to hit your microphone to unmute yourself and tell us about you.
Hi, I'm Karen Kearsley. I was a cohort a couple years ago in Lawrence and Lowell, and I've been working on one product. I have a patent on it, and I have a kids version that's a little neoprene. I call it a key shirt, but it turns out that it hangs on the outside of a sports bag and keeps the kids' mouth guards in it, and so keeps it clean so they don't toss it into the bottom of that smelly sports bag and then it gets all germy and they stick it right back in their mouth, which is really gross.
Yuck.
Yuck, yeah. So I'm like, you know what, I think now that I have time, and I'm a school nurse, like I have a day job, but now that I have the time off to really kind of market this, I was worried about, all right, I don't want to be taking advantage of the situation like we've been talking about. And I've been thinking, like, how do I do this without coming off like, hey, you know, now that everybody's germ phobic, let me try and sell you something. But, you know, combining it with everybody's got lots of questions and they've got their kids at home. And if they have any questions, I can, you know, throw it up there and advertise, but at the top say, hey, you know, who I am, what I do, I'm a school nurse, and ask me a question. And, you know, I'd love to connect and answer any of your questions. And by the way, I have this. So when you're, you know, once we can think of when time gets to be like normal again, it would be great to, you know, have one of these to keep your kids healthy.
That's great. Thank you for sharing, Karen. My other thought, and this is one of the points I think we're probably not going to get into in any great depth here on this call, is partnerships. So whether this is the time to go to the AYSO chapters or the other people, again, you can find them because they're home now, they're available, and maybe it's something you could make a partnership with them and you couldn't get their attention before. So maybe it's an opportunity for you. Casey, was there another person who was raising their hands that we want to introduce?
No, but I do want to just say, if anyone does have any questions, to please use the raise your hand function, and I will be able to promote you to a panelist so you can ask your question.
Perfect. So we do have a few more minutes. Dan and Noah, do you have any other sort of parting comments or thoughts you want to share while we're waiting to see if anyone else wants to ask?
I just say to everyone, remain positive. Again, we hear a lot of news that will tend to reinforce the negative, and it is an unknown period of time. But from a business perspective, and to Noah's point earlier, future opportunities will arise. This is temporary. Remaining positive and focusing on your brand, sending out a caring message to the people you're trying to reach. Be creative as necessary, but again, maintain that positive energy, that positive perspective. That translates through every time.
Yep. Noah, any last thoughts?
Full agreement with Dan. Get some goal set. Like, we've got this rare moment where we're stuck with all the time in the world on our hands. And so this is the time to chip away at those things that you know you should do for your business. So if you've got long-term goals, it's a time to focus in on those. It's a time to start working towards those so you have some movement and you can feel yourself doing things and not just sitting here waiting for whatever is going to happen. So I would say, avoid inaction. I think I wanted to engage quickly with Karen's question about her product, because I think that it's a very specific situation where you as a school nurse, the action you can be taking now is building your personal brand as someone who knows about how to keep kids safe and healthy. Although nobody right now is thinking about sports practices because they all got canceled. But if, this is a great time for you to be building your own personal brand. And hey, your kids are around the house, how to keep your house not so grimy and not so germy when your kids are around. You're out there showing people your face. And when it's time to come back, then your product is ready and you have a good base to communicate on top of. So I think that's it's a great example for this thing of plant some seeds now, move forward on some stuff now, so that when this passes, which it will, you're ready.
That's fantastic advice,
Yeah,
Noah.
but
We do have a couple of hands raised. Yes, Casey?
Yeah, we have Bree O'Neill.
Bree, tell us what's on your mind. You need to unmute your microphone. Nope. The little microphone on the left.
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
You guys are great. Thank you so much. So last week we just launched our first newsletter. We're speech therapy. We're in speech therapy.
Okay.
And we were highlighting our teletherapy services. However, we also lightened it up with how to make a bunny gingerbread house and how to DIY your own hand sanitizer, etc. So I'm just wondering when you think would be a next time to reach out. So we're doing well maintaining our client base, but we'd also like to build it. Can we ask for referrals? Those are our kinds of questions right now.
Thank you, Bree. So is it appropriate to ask for referrals now?
My perspective from the sales side, I think you can do it, but couch it in, if you think this information will be helpful to any of your friends, please pass it along. Please pass along the names so that we can add them to our distribution list. Because again, the message is about Bree's business helping the people that are being contacted. At the same time, her company name, her brand are attached. People will get that association, but it's not about building her customer base directly. It's about spreading the message to those who can benefit from it.
Terrific. And I like that you've lightened it up and shown the gingerbread house. To me, that shows you get that people are home with their kids and they want something to do. That's great. Did we have another hand or two raised? Noe, do you want to tell people about your tool? Casey, you want to unmute Noe Sabal?
Yep.
There you go. Just hit unmute on your microphone. You're good.
Hello, how's everybody doing? Thank you
Great.
for doing all of this marketing work. I know that a lot of people have been struggling with it, and I really appreciate all your answers. I have been developing for the last 3+ years a content marketing online platform called Blogging Ninja. And Blogging Ninja helps with a lot of the things that you guys are talking about right now. Like you were talking about the barber, and you were talking about, you know, what you could talk to people about with helpful ideas and lightening things up. And I actually have developed an online platform that helps individual small businesses that don't have marketing departments with online content marketing. And it's called Blogging Ninja. So you go to writing.ninja, not .com, but .ninja. And I will give it out for free to everyone who's involved in EforAll, because I went through the EforAll program and they helped me a lot. I went from writing screenplays with Writing Ninja to helping with marketing with Blogging Ninja. And so I want to give back and try and help everybody out. So I'll give it to everybody for free for 6 months or however long this COVID.
That's great. Noah, you need to send an email to us at EforAll so we can put you up and let people know about that. That's a nice gift, because not everybody feels qualified to build their own content. So that's a really nice thing. Thank you for sharing.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right, I'm actually at noon, so I want to thank Dan Shea. I want to thank Noah Cook-Dubin. I want to thank Casey O'Donnell, who is hidden as a light bulb, for administrating for us. Kelly Musick from Colorado, who did our centering exercise. I want to remind you that I have 2 more webinars a week from today, exactly Wednesday at 11. That's when EforAll does them, about the pivot with Eric Ashman. And if you want to know more about the recovery bill from Congress and how that affects sole proprietors and small businesses, Ben Lamb from One Berkshire and I, 10 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, April 2nd. So I know some people will be watching this in the recording. If it isn't too late, I hope you all can join us. I'll see you next week. Thank you all for coming. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.